let's move on to practical aspect of communication. First, let's take a look at the common words we use to pass on some information or receive some information and the reply to such information from A to C. Using proper phraseology is one key indicator of a good airman. Now guys, these basic words are to make our communication easier, more fluent and faster. So we avoid always using slang words or common language. So when they want to ask if we have received an information or understood it, they will say acknowledge. And if we want to answer if it is correct or not, we will say correct. We can also use affirm as being yes, I agree. Then we have other things, as you can see here. When we get on board the aircraft, we would like to know how the transmission is understood by the other person, either the radio, the tower, the AFIS, or simply the other pilot. Upon turning on our radio, we will say, how do you read? What is the readability of my transmission, that is? And this can be based on a code from 1 to 5. 5 being perfectly readable, and 4 is readable, 3 is readable but with difficulty, and 2 is readable now and then, and 1 being unreadable. And we have a phrase here used as break break. We hear this often in busy airspaces. This is to separate two different messages for two different aircrafts. An example would be Oscar Kilo Papa Alpha Victor is on final and Oscar Kilo Hotel Alpha Delta is in the downwind. So we can hear this from the air traffic controller. Oscar Kilo Papa Alpha Victor, runway 23 is clear for landing. Break break, Oscar Kilo Hotel Alpha Delta, report current position. In this case, we understand that the break break is a separation between two messages for two different aircrafts. And as you can see, here are more basic words which we would have to familiarize ourselves with and use. Now, here are some more of these basic words. For example, when we want to ask for something specific, we will say request. And if we are ordered to do something which we cannot do, we will simply say unable. I cannot comply with your instructions. In opposite way, if we have received an information and we will comply with it, instead of reading back the whole message, we will simply say Wilco. And in any case where the transmission from the air traffic controller is unreadable, too fast, or you simply did not catch some of the information, you can always say again, repeat your transmission. This can be done as many times as necessary. Now, some sources for pilots to use to become familiar with the phraseology, abbreviations, and the procedures are document 4444 from ICAO. This is the main source. And then we have the CAP 413 from the British CAA. Now let's go to the practical part. Usually in communication, especially on our initial calls, we are trying to familiarize who we are talking to and who we are. So let's say we are in Letniani and the service provided there is radio. So Letniani radio. And our aircraft's call sign being Oscar Kilo Papa Alpha Victor. So the first transmission after the startup of the aircraft will be like this. Letniani radio, Oscar Kilo Papa Alpha Victor, good day. So we're just initiating the contact. After that, the Letniani radio will come back to us and say, Oscar Kilo Papa Alpha Victor, good morning, good day, good afternoon. Pass your message. Now here we have a rule, we say 3 W's when we want to respond to transmissions. Say, who am I, where am I, and what do I want, or what are my intentions? Now, the question might arise, when to speak? Generally, when we want to request for something or report something. In controlled airports, we usually request for activities, while in uncontrolled airports, we are informing the AFIS or the other aircraft in that area. Before transmitting, we need to check certain things. Number one being, make sure the frequency is proper, the one that we need to contact. Second is, Make sure the frequency is not occupied, meaning nobody is transmitting on the frequency or nobody is waiting for a reply from the frequency. Number 2, know what to say. Number 3, start talking only after keying, the key being the one that you press and talk, simply like a walkie-talkie. So you press, talk, when your speech or your message is finished, you release the key and you wait for the response. Do not hold the key. Make sure the key is released, because if it is blocked, it will simply block the whole frequency. We call this jamming the frequency. And avoid sentence fillers like aha, things like this, and always use a calm and level voice. Remember, we need to talk approximately at a rate of 100 words per minute. Here is a list of things that we need to report usually or pass the information. It is the initial call after the startup, to announce our intentions, to request for clearance or departure information, requesting for taxi and departure at uncontrolled airports, or requesting for taxi clearance and departure clearance at controlled airport, reporting departure at uncontrolled airports, reporting positions in the traffic patterns such as downwind, base leg, final, or vacating the runway, that is leaving the runway, which we have to report vacating such and such runway to the right or to the left or via a certain taxiway. And when entering or exiting someone's airspace, which could be a CTR, a controlled zone of a controlled airport, or an ATZ, aerodrome traffic zone of an uncontrolled airport.